All right, now, Ferguson, although he's a great grappler himself and he loves it, maybe he wants this fight on the feet, attack like Michael Johnson did when he fought Nurmagomedov, push constantly and try to keep it on the feet. I do know one thing, that Ferguson has the stamina to do that for the complete fight, because this guy's insane in the stamina department. Then again, he's not a Michael Johnson on the feet. In fact, his last loss was against Johnson, but that was all the way back in 2012, and he became a complete different animal after that. Now, if it does go to the ground and Khabib has his side mount, make sure your arm closest to your hip doesn't get caught in a crucifix, because that is his go-to move, and try to escape the back door once he starts using elbows. This is important. Once he is his side mount, try to use a backdoor escape. Other people try different escapes. Try to use a backdoor escape. That would be where I think that might work. But if it doesn't work, get him in the guard ASAP, because Khabib is an animal. If he's in half guard, he's got great ground and pound. Having him in a close guard will make it less. He's still good, but it will be less power and easier to control. Now, when Khabib is on top in half guard, he also tries to lock up one arm behind your back and unload with the other hand. Be aware of this as well, since he will try to do this 100% certain in every fight you see him doing this. Nurmagomedov, this is going to be very interesting to see, because both these fighters like to come forward, and both are kind of the same. Both have equal wins by knockout and submission. Both love the ground, but what we do know with Nurmagomedov, he really loves the ground. I love to find out whose wrestling is better and gets the top position. Or, because both these guys like to grapple, is this going to be a standing fight? Sometimes we see that, right? If people expect that this is going to be a ground fight, suddenly there's an ego match going on the feet. I don't know. I don't need to tell Khabib to watch out for the Bravo choke, because that's his go-to move also here from Ferguson. It's going to be hard, but I don't think that I have seen Khabib ever on his back. I mean, this guy always has top position, and if he's on his back, well, it's going to be very momentarily, because he's got great reversals. Then again, my memory is not that super. This is going to be a crazy fight, man. I think in this particular weight class, both these guys have the best stamina. And I think that is going to make it, and saying that at 155 is the weirdest thing to see. If you Rafael dos Anjos, all these other guys, they have insane stamina. But these guys here, they take stamina to a next level. So that's why I think it's going to be like in the second round. I don't see this as a first round fight. I see a second or third round if it goes for a knockout or a submission, but it might go the distance, actually, because both are tough.
Ferguson's most recent victory came against the former lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos in the UFC Fight Night 98 main event last November. Man, what a run he's been on. He just turned 33. Ferguson hasn't lost in almost 5 years. The last loss to Michael Johnson, who went the distance with Ferguson, was destroyed, though, by Khabib Nurmagomedov. But since then, Ferguson's 9 victories have included 6 stoppages, 7 fight night bonuses, including a rare double for performance of the night and fight of the night for his second-round submission win of Edson Barbosa, who stepped in for Nurmagomedov at the TUF 22 finale. Remember, this is going to be the third time the charm. These two were supposed to meet on 2 prior occasions, so let's keep the fingers crossed. Nothing goes down this week to preclude this fight from happening, because as much as I'm looking forward to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Ty Woodley, this is the fight I'm really looking forward to at UFC 209. Nurmagomedov, 28 years of age, 4 of his 8 wins inside the octagon, half of them by stoppage, and he's already, he's also defeated Dos Anjos as a common opponent. They have a few common opponents, of course, but his win over Dos Anjos came at UFC on Fox 11 in April 2014, nearly a year prior to the Brazilian winning the 155-pound title against Anthony Pettis. Nurmagomedov submitting Johnson in the 3rd round at UFC 205 in November to set up this fight. Of course, during that fight, he was also trash-talking Dana White about the situation with Conor McGregor, and who knows when Conor McGregor is going to return. Of course, Floyd Mayweather, we talked about his birthday on Friday. He was on Showbox. I didn't want to bring it up, but now that McGregor's name comes up, Mayweather told our Steve Farhood at Showtime, yeah, let's make the fight happen. Let's make the fight happen. Okay, make the fight happen. Make your piles of money and let everyone bitch about the result and how it was a joke and a circus and not really a super fight as they're proclaiming it. Now, a fight that's going on, 209, 2 other fights I'm interested in. Rashad Evans has been medically cleared, the former light heavyweight champion who really hasn't been himself recently, boss, with injuries and just, I mean, the toil and the age. Let's face it. He's going to make his middleweight debut, 185 pounds, against Judica Dan Kelly, who's also up there in the age department. Rashad Evans at 185, this stage of his career, boss. What do you think?
You know, I love Rashad. I this weekend actually we watched The Hurt Business. That it's on Netflix. I'm in only 2 seasons. I'm in there, but Ronda Rousey, everybody's in it. And they're following Rashad, and you know, and it's so sad to see. You know that you know he's finally when you think his knee is over, boom. It happened again, and he's back into the rehab. And I think mentally it did a lot to him, and you saw that in the last fight. So, you know, Dan Kelly, he's a tough guy, man. We talked about. That's what I mean. And in judo,
yep.
You know, so those are just really tough guys. We always talked about it at the Pride Fighting Championships as well. The guy also has knockouts. I mean, 3 knockout victories. Of course, submission game. We know that he has that. You know, and he has a pretty good record. I mean, he lost once, I believe, right? That's it, like 12 wins. So, I mean, people say, "Oh, there's going to be an easy fight for Rashad." I don't know if it's going to be an easy fight. I hope it's going to be easy
fight at all for Rashad, bro. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think Rashad. Like I say, this is going to be a big litmus test for Rashad Evans, and I really wonder how much is left, both physically and, like you say, the mental toll. But I don't see this as an easy fight. Especially, I don't see it as an easy weight cut either. Getting down to 185 pounds at his age or at any time. Guys that don't have to worry too much about weight cuts. Well, Mark Hunt maybe the heavyweights. Alistair Overeem against Mark Hunt at UFC 209. This one, of course, could end at any time. Mark Hunt involved in legal battles now because every opponent he's facing is popped for PEDs. Of course, Alistair Overeem has a past with that as well. But, man, Overeem and Hunt, the question is not if it ends in a knockout, but when, right, boss?
That's what's going to happen. You know, we saw the first time, Overeem beat him. That was at Pride Fighting Championship with an armbar, that crazy weird armbar. But Hunt is a completely different animal now. Training, you know, he's a mixed martial artist. His takedown defense is much better. Does Overeem want to take it to the ground? If I was Overeem, I would say, listen, hey, use your strength. He's got pretty good takedowns. You know, he simply doesn't use them a lot. But
as well, remember the
that's what I mean.
13.
But also, if he is going to be on top, I mean, that's a scary guy to have on top of you. Yeah. You know, if you're Mark Hunt. So, you know, Mark Hunt, since the low center of gravity, you know, and he's short and compact, it's easier for him to defend himself from a takedown. But we know that, you know, Overeem's got that crazy striking. He's just using a whole bunch of strikes to set him up, set a takedown up, and then go for a takedown on the other side. He might simply think, no, I need to knock this guy out in order to make myself huge again, my name huge again after the last loss that he has. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think I give Mark Hunt more chance than people give him. But although, if I have to say, you know, yeah, I would think Overeem could win it, but it's just that one punch. If he can land one shot, and I talk about Hunt, of course, then the fight could be over because Overeem's chin is not the strongest chin, and especially against a guy like Hunt.
I like Overeem via first-round submission. All right, UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk going to attempt her 5th consecutive title defense at UFC 211 when she puts her title on the line against Jessica Andrade. And what a fight this one should prove to be. The champion undefeated at 13-0, 7-0 in the UFC. Andrade 16-5, 7-3 in the octagon. But boy, she is coming off a brilliant run of fights and really the most active female fighter in the UFC since women were introduced to the organization back in February of 2014. For Andrade, UFC 211 is going to mark her 11th fight inside the octagon and the 4th since she moved down to strawweight from the women's bantamweight division last June. Man, she has just been amazing with victories over Jessica Penne, Joanna Calderwood, and Angela Hill. We just saw her fight Hill at UFC Fight Night 104, and that fight, tremendous fight of the night honors. But Andrade taking on the number 1 fighter in the weight class, the only Polish champion in UFC history, and she's been nothing short of dominant, boss. She has claimed the title back in March 2015 and recorded victories against Jessica Penne, Valerie Letourneau, and Claudia Gadelha. Most recently, she recorded a unanimous decision win over her compatriot Karolina Kowalkiewicz at UFC 205 in November. Andrade is going to be tough, bro.
She's a very tough one, but I'm in love in a platonic way with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, man. I love everything about her, the way she handles herself, the way she gets in the opponent's head. But yes, Andrade is going to be very tough, and the reason is she has a great ground game as well, so she's constantly throwing shots and a takedown, shots and a takedown. If she keeps doing that back and forth, she might land one. And once she lands a takedown and is on top, that could be trouble for Jędrzejczyk, although she looks simply unstoppable. This is going to be a fun fight to break down if we come closer.
Yeah, when we get to May, we will break it down like a boss. That's going to take place at UFC 211, May 13, American Airlines Center in Dallas. Coming up on Friday at WinStar World Casino and Resort in Thackerville, Oklahoma, the women will headline Bellator 174. And a woman we know very well, your compatriot, Marloes Coenen, the trailblazer in women's MMA, 23-7, a 2-1 record in Bellator, taking on my BC Bud, Julia Budd from British Columbia. Know both women, of course, from their Strikeforce days, Invicta Fighting Championships as well. Budd 9-2, undefeated in Bellator at 3-0, and they are going to fight for the inaugural women's featherweight title in Bellator MMA. What do you think about this fight, boss? A lot of experience for both fighters, but much more for Coenen.
Yeah, much more for Coenen. Bud, though, okay, I think Bud is going to try to keep this fight on the feet. She's strong, and she will fight the takedown, which she should do if she's smart. I think she has more power on the feet than Marloes has, although Marloes, I think, is more technical. But having the power advantage is huge because that makes her dangerous on the feet. No single kicks. I've seen her doing that a bunch of times. I wouldn't do it because Coenen's camp, I guarantee you, saw that too, and they're waiting for it, trying to grab that leg and try to take it to the ground because that's the bread and butter, of course, for Marloes Coenen. Now, if she decides to take Coenen down, make sure that you're going to be on top and not in the guard from Coenen. Now, Coenen, and I have to ask you this, the last time she fought at 135, right?
Coenen,
was it last fight? Do you remember that?
Coenen is coming off a submission loss to Alexis Dufresne, who passed on a title shot, which makes no sense, and now fights on the preliminary card of Bellator 174. So, no, Coenen has fought at featherweight and honestly has not done that well. And honest, you know what? She's needed knee surgery again. Someone who's been around the block a few times, boss, and it's no longer automatic. And for Julia Budd, she may get Marloes Coenen at the right time. Budd is the one with the momentum. 3 straight wins. She also holds a win, by the way, over the UFC women's featherweight champion, Germaine de Randamie.